Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Good evening from Cape Town, where we've tracked down the man at the centre of the abuse scandal that has rocked the church. John Smyth is accused of violently beating dozens of young men he'd groomed at Christian holiday camps in the UK in the late 1970s. But he wasn't reported to the police at the time, allowing him to move to Africa, where more alleged abuse took place. Tonight, this programme has obtained new evidence of repeated warnings about Smyth for a decade before he was finally arrested in Zimbabwe. And we speak to the prosecutor from that country on why the case against Smyth collapsed. Tourist Mecca, expat enclave. Cape Town is, for many, the perfect getaway. And so it's proved for John Smyth, the British barrister and evangelical Christian, dogged by abuse allegations in the UK and then Zimbabwe. Last week, Channel 4 News reported allegations that more than 3 decades ago, Smyth violently abused young men at his home in Britain. But it wasn't reported to the police at the time. Now Hampshire police are finally investigating him. We paid him a visit at the place he and his wife call home, just outside Cape Town and behind these alarmed gates. This is Mr. Smyth's house. There doesn't seem to be anyone at home right now, or if there is, that no one's answering the bell. So I'm going to try and give him another call and see what happens.
Please leave us a message and we'll be glad to get back to you.
Mr. Smyth, it's Kathy Newman here from Channel 4 News. I've got a few questions I'd really like to ask you. Your alleged violent abuse. The church and your own children are urging you to talk to the police. Do please call me back. You have my number. This is the evangelical church Smyth now attends. The pastor here admitted that he'd recently given spiritual counselling to university students. He said he was broken to think the church might have put young people at risk. You can live very well in Cape Town, and certainly John Smyth seems to have established a comfortable life for himself here. But we have disturbing new evidence about the abuse allegations he left behind in Zimbabwe. Channel 4 News has obtained new documents from Zimbabwe revealing that almost constant concerns about Smyth were raised as early as 1986, a decade before he was arrested and charged by police there. But the holiday camps run by Smyth and the beatings continued. At one of the camps in 1991, the documents say,
the younger boys were not permitted to wear underclothing. At shower times, Mr. Smyth would stand in the nude in the vicinity of the shower area. Mr. Smyth led the boys in prayer whilst he was naked. If a boy was caught wearing underwear, corporal punishment was administered.
In 1992, 16-year-old guide Nachuru was found dead at the bottom of the swimming pool at one of Smyth's camps. It changed everything. Now other young men came forward about beatings at the camps, and eventually Zimbabwean police charged Smyth with culpable homicide and assault. Smyth says Guide's death was a very unfortunate drowning incident. The prosecutor who charged him, Herbert Ushiwakunza, now lives in South Africa and agreed to talk to me about why he believes the case collapsed.
At one point, I received a call from a very close relative of mine, very close. I would not say who it was, but quite close. Asking me, hey, look, you are doing this case, you know what I mean, it was a call. I said, yeah. I said, how do you think it's going to go? I said, come on, man. You know me, I'll get a conviction. There's evidence, you know. It was not boastful, it was a fact. The evidence was there. Now, unbeknownst to me, that conversation was being taped. And a couple of weeks later, our office received a notice of motion from the court alleging bias and interest on my part.
Smyth alleged the prosecutor was biased because his relative was connected to the case. The judge agreed and the prosecutor was removed. I mean, the judge was very critical of you. Some of the things that he said, that you fell far short of the customary standards of fairness and detachment demanded of a prosecutor. You lost objectivity and impartiality. There was an inexcusable failure to correct the facts. This was really quite damning, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, it was. My feeling, you know what made me feel bad? Was that I got vilified and John Smyth got away with it. That's what really irked me. You know, they were failed. That's my opinion. They were failed by the judicial protection. Fine, rap me on the knuckles, get him.
He doesn't understand why another prosecutor wasn't appointed before Smyth left Zimbabwe for South Africa.
Yeah, get rid of Herbert, get somebody else who's not Herbert. Charges are still the same. Do you know what I mean? So I think he got advice that, look, hit the road, Jack.
Smyth has consistently refused to answer any of our questions about the alleged abuse and what took place in Zimbabwe. Do you think he will face justice now?
If he's a man. If he's a man, and he's a man of God, or of the cloth and all that type of thing, then yes. Otherwise, it means he's using religion as a cover to hide his badness, basically.
One of John Smyth's daughters told Channel 4 News in a statement that her father should leave his Cape Town sunspot and answer the allegations piling up against him in neighbouring Zimbabwe and half a world away in the UK. She said the reports were deeply troubling and had left her shocked and disturbed. Well, with me now is the Very Reverend Michael Weeder, who's the Dean of St George's Cathedral, which is the main Anglican place of worship here in Cape Town. John Smyth is living here, just up the road, and the allegations keep on piling up. What do you think should be done?
I think it's important that Mr. Smyth be able to return back to where he needs to give an account of his behavior. And at the same time, the fact that he's been here and by the record what happened back in the UK, I don't think we should be astounded if we find that there have been similar incidents happening here in South Africa. So,
really?
I think
have you heard of any rumours?
No, but I think that there should be an alertness on our authority side to pay some deeper attention to his behavior and conduct while in our city, if not in our country.
So you'd like the authorities here in the church to be actively working out if anything untoward has gone on here?
Well, less the authorities here, because we have very limited jurisdiction. We are an Anglican Diocese of Cape Town. In 2013, the Bishop of Ely, we learned yesterday, informed Archbishop Thabo.
That's the Archbishop of Cape
Town. Of the fact of this gentleman's whereabouts or presence in our country. But it was under the radar. There was no specific mention about what part of Cape Town. We got three, in the greater part of Cape Town, we got 3 dioceses. And so his behavior was of such a nature that it wasn't brought to the attention of our diocese. So we have got limited impact and influence.
But the fact is that it's all very well making these inquiries now, but the church in the UK, the church in Zimbabwe, all sorts of people could have stopped this much earlier than it has been stopped.
You know, I think there is very little, despite what I said, our defense would seem very shallow in the light of the fact that there are similar unravelings globally and also within our own diocese, within our own country. There's no justifiable way that we can explain that we haven't paid greater attention to it. It's a question of respectability. It's respect to the way masculinity is embroidered and presented in our society. And it depends who the accusers are and how strong their voices are, and with the kind of power, access to lawyers, it's always the vulnerable that are targeted and pursued in that matter.
Why particularly the church, though? I mean, the church appears to be a sort of hotbed of abuse allegations. Why do you think that is?
I think anywhere where predators can prey on the vulnerable, be it the Boy Scouts, church choirs, wherever young people are assembled in great number, There is a desire for a father image, gentleness, kindness, and the church, the mosque, the temple, the synagogue, all of us, that is our core business. Vulnerability, espousal of love, and that makes us a very attractive feature in society.
Reverend Michael Weeder, thank you very much for joining me.